It's not pressing the button, please. Okay, now we're recording. All right. Hello. Welcome back to Studio 151, where we talk about movies and things. I'm your host. I'm exhausted. I finished Uncut Gems and I'm exhausted. So,
that's accurate, yeah.
How is everyone?
In the context of having seen the movie or just in general?
In general, for the people at home, so they know how we are.
We're good.
Exhausted.
Yeah.
Vibing.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we're going to be reviewing Uncut Gems today, and I am exhausted because of this film. I'm assuming we all have our own thoughts and feelings on it. I know Cloris loved it. So, Cloris, do you want to give us a rundown of what Uncut Gems is?
Like a quick synopsis of the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so so Uncut Gems is about this. Sorry, I'm in a noisy place right now. Is about. I think not. Okay, sorry. A jeweler who is Adam Sandler, and he has this gambling addiction, and he receives this opal, and yep, and then things go downhill. I don't really know what else to say that's not like a spoiler.
I think that's kind of like the general gist of the movie, though.
Yes.
I mean, just a lot happens to it. Like it's very like one of my. We'll get into like things that we like about the movie, but one of my favorite parts of this movie is that the plot is in an essence very simple, and that like he's a jeweler. There's not much more to him aside from he's a jeweler and he has a gambling addiction, and he's kind of doing everything he can to make money, which includes some like particularly shady stuff, and that's kind of his downfall as a character. But it's not too complicated. So it's like he's a jeweler, he gets this really nice opal, which is like apparently from African Jews, and is like, all right, let's Kevin Garnett borrow it, and then kind of goes on a wild goose chase trying to find it.
This isn't based on any type of true stories, right?
I don't think so.
I don't believe. Yeah, no.
Okay, good. It's like I looked it up again, and they was like based on a true story. I would have had a panic attack.
I was so nervous watching this movie. Like I was just. I was nervous.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna go or try to go beat by beat. So starting from the beginning, I honestly thought I was watching the wrong movie when it first started.
I did too.
Because it starts in Ethiopia, which is fine. I was like, oh, okay, it's starting in Ethiopia because, diamond mining, blood diamonds, all this stuff. Didn't know it had to do with opals. But, like, when you see the miner come out of the mine with, like, the broken leg, I was like, what is happening? This is already so much, so fast. I don't know where this is going. And then it just, like, pivots to Adam Sandler's character in New York in 2012. And I was like, what? So it just kept...
The title was, like, very 80s.
I agree.
Like, you know how, like, in the 80s, they just, like, used effects because they could?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very 80s.
Completely, I get that. So I was like, my entire being just froze because I sat back too far. Okay. I like blurred completely.
Disappeared.
But yeah, so I was like so beyond confused when it first started, and I didn't know where the movie was going. So I just felt so many things. None of them were really positive. So, and they didn't really get more positive as the movie went on. So that is my beginning takeaways from the film. How did we feel about it from the jump?
I mean,
I don't know why his leg was broken. I don't feel like that really added much to the.
I think it was just. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so for like to me, it felt like throughout the whole movie, it was alluded to that this black opal was like cursed. So I feel like him breaking his leg in the beginning was like part of showing that. Because like
Yeah, I kind of thought that the broken leg was trying to show like the dangers of mining, and that there are people who were being taken advantage of in order to get this opal. So that's what I thought it was trying to show. And then when the opal kind of gets to America, I think it's just a bad omen once it gets to America. Kind of what Caleb says.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I'm kind of just recapping all the events with the opal and the glass breaking in the shop was definitely one of those, because I was like, wait a second, KG kind of popped off with it in the game.
Yeah, it was a good luck charm for KG. So it's like a good thing for him, but it's not a good thing for anybody else who's around it.
Which is also interesting because opals are typically seen as being like bad luck, almost because they're so fragile.
Which I also think is like really interesting, because I mean, I feel like whenever the opal is in someone's possession, they have good luck, but once it's out of their possession and they came across it, bad luck almost instantly. I feel
that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel that.
Okay, so what happens after that? All I know, so I think we should break down characters a little bit, because he owes like everybody and their mother money. He owes everyone money, and like I don't know how you owe everybody money, because
How do you owe so many people money? Like, also the literal second. Okay, gave me the most things. I know we're jumping ahead, but what gave me the most anxiety? This movie gave me so much anxiety. I've had like amped up anxiety for the past week because I watched it last weekend, and I'm just like not like this is not. So I was like, as soon as he got KG's ring, he just goes and pawns it. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
why?
there is so in the film there is Howard Ratner, who's Adam Sandler's character. There's Phil and Nico, and they work for, I think, Mr. Arno. But that doesn't really matter. Then there's is it, how do you say his name? Damie, Lakeith Stanford's character. There's him. And then everybody else is pretty much background. Everybody else is background. Like nobody else matters besides like those people. And then like Idina Menzel's in this film.
The Weeknd.
The Weeknd in this film.
The Weeknd.
And I was like, it made me laugh. Kevin Garnett's a big player in this game, but he's also himself.
He did a really good job in the movie.
There's Julia DeFori, and she plays like Julia in the movie as well. I'm trying to think. That's really it. Nobody else matters besides those people.
Yep.
And I don't like anybody but Idina Menzel. We actually didn't say what characters or things that were going to be from the movie today, but like I don't have a desire to be anybody from this film.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, no.
I don't
Yeah.
wanna. Like if I was thinking like if you were gonna ask, I'd be like, I'm gonna be the broken glass that KG breaks because I don't want to be anyone from the movie or anything.
I was thinking of being one of those like fake watches that he had.
No, I was gonna be a Furby. I was gonna be one of the Furbies.
Oh, yeah.
It honestly, it makes me kind of want to like forget the movie, like just temporarily for the moment because it's so like just so bleak and depressing that like I don't want to think about it.
But like,
This-
really good movie.
It's so anxiety inducing though.
Mm-hmm.
Like like when I tell you I just finished it, like I finished it right before I ran to get food. Like I hate it.
I can tell.
I hate it. And I started it and I was like, oh, this will be fine. Like it's not gonna be that bad. And then it started and I was like, I already don't like this. And I usually don't feel that way about movies, like at all. Usually I can find some aspect to keep me in it, but like from the jump, I was like, I don't like this. Like I don't know if it's because it's an A24 movie, but I've seen other A24 movies and I haven't disliked those. I don't know if it's because it's Adam Sandler trying to be serious.
Honest, at one point I forgot that it was Adam Sandler. I don't know how to explain it, but at one point it was like I was like, this isn't Adam Sandler. This is like someone different.
Fair.
Okay, so I know basically the movie starts with also I think what put me in a bad mood is that the film starts with a broken leg and then coming out of someone's anus.
Oh
Yeah, I didn't
yeah,
like that.
that jump, didn't like it.
Like I was like, oh, because like when they first started, I was like, oh, why are we in somebody's ear? Because I watch like earwax extraction videos sometimes. So I was like, why are we in someone's ear? Like, what is happening? And then like the camera started moving, and I was like, are we watching somebody give birth? What is happening? And then like it started to, like I was like, no, we're still in somebody's ear. And the more the camera like pulled out, and I could see like ridges, I was like, we are definitely in a vagina, and this is making me very, very uncomfortable. And I don't know why. I just don't like it. And then they pulled out like a little further, and I was like, this is a colonoscopy, isn't it? We're in Adam Sandler's rectum right now, aren't we? And then it pulled out, and we were. And I was like, oh god. Just for that whole scene to not matter at all.
Yeah.
See, I blocked that out from my memory, so like I hate all of you all for bringing that back up now.
I'm sorry, but
I
like
thought,
It had to be brought up. We had to talk about it. This is
it
our
had to
job.
be brought up because one of those scenes that could have been left out of the movie and we would have been fine. Because like there's no payoff for the movie because of it. Like
Well, I mean, he has the healthy rectum, so that's good.
no, hush.
Yeah.
Hush. If it had been like they find the polyp, they do like a biopsy on it, and then they find out it's cancerous, then like some of his actions might have made more sense to me because you're about to die. So like you being reckless and things like that would make more sense to me. But like he goes to the doctor, I don't know, on a Monday, and then by the next Wednesday, they're telling him that he doesn't have cancer, and then he like dies like 6 hours later because someone shoots him. So it's like, what was the point of even having this plot point if you're not going to bring it up any other point besides we're in his rectum and he doesn't have cancer? Like it makes
It's a
I
bit
feel like it
stressful.
was.
So
I feel like it was kind of just like, seamless transition from the title, like staring into the opal, to. There's so many, they could have done it so many other ways. Now that I'm saying it out loud, they did not have to. They didn't have to do that.
It
Florence,
was
what were you
an
trying to say?
asshole.
I just think I feel like the whole point of the movie was to make you uncomfortable, and it really succeeded at that. And part of it is those like jarring like sequence changes, and it's just, I don't know. Yeah, it's very like, it made me want to take a fat nap after I watched it.
I want a fifth of vodka, and I don't even drink, so that's how I feel.
took a cold shower after watching that movie. I just had to get it off. Get it off of me. That was.
Yeah. Okay. So we go from broken bone to anus to him going to the shop, and Lakeith Stanford's character is there. He's irrelevant, basically. He feels irrelevant the entire film. Even though he's not irrelevant, like he's very much important to the plot, but he just feels like you stuck Lakeith Stanford in the film just to say Lakeith Stanford's in the film. Same with Idina Menzel. I feel like you stuck Idina in there just to say you have Idina Menzel in this character. Let's see. So we go to the shop. We see him doing some shifty, shady things. Then we see him get roughed up by Paul and Nico. They take some money from him. They take a watch. He's outside again for some reason, and then he's coming back in, and Kevin and Paul and Nico have gotten into a fight with Lakeith Stanford's character and the one guy, Benny or whatever. That's not his name. It's something else. The guy who then leaves to work for a different store because Howard's not treating him right. And then suddenly Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, that's
Am I the only one who feels like?
Oh wait, no. He went to go place. He was outside because he went to go place a bet, right? And then KG comes to the shop, and then he goes back to the shop, gets the money, and then goes to change his bet.
Is that what he does? I just remember like Paul and Nico like rough him up, and they take like the watch. No, he goes outside to call Arno, and then he runs some money to whoever the other guy is to place a bet. So yeah, he places a bet, then comes back, and that's when like Lakeith Stanford's bodyguards are fighting with Paul and Nico, because they ripped whatever that guy's shirt was. And then Kevin Garnett pops up. And then we get the legal opal. So, which came in fish. To which, what did you do with the fish after you took the opal out?
Cook it.
I guess. That wasn't a payoff for that either. Also, there are so many times where like Howard does something that makes no sense. Like he should not do it. Like he gets the opal and the first thing he does is show it to Kevin Garnett. Why?
Kevin Garnett's like, why would you show it to me if I can't buy it? Like, exactly. That's the exact kind of thing that a really rich person would want to buy to flex.
Yeah. It was like, my thing was like, I would have accepted Howard saying, you can't buy it because it's still in the rock. Like I need to keep it to take the opals out so you can have the opals, and then he lie and do whatever other stuff he needs to do.
Or if he said it still needed to be appraised so he could figure out the price or something like that.
Yeah, so like, but he was like throwing out numbers. He was like, how many carats is this? He goes, I don't know. 3,000 to 5,000 carats, and then it's $3,000 a carat. And I was like, sir. And then if it's $3,000 a carat, and then it's like 5,000 carats, and then it only sold for $190,000, you didn't make as much money off of it as you said you were going to make off of it. I'm exhausted.
Also, can I point out he's not very good at running a business?
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Well, he also has like almost $1 million in debt, so like, you know.
He's really not good at anything, but
He's a bad character.
It's,
It makes me sad because I was like, this is like, you know, movie about Jewish guy. It's gonna be. It was like.
It made Jews look bad.
It really did. It really did.
And I hate saying things like that. Like I hate when I watch like I recently watched Queen and Slim. Not a plug, but that movie made Black people look bad. Hated that movie. It was terrible writing. And so I feel like Uncut Gems make Jewish people look bad because it makes Adam Sandler's character like there's already so many stereotypes about Jews being penny pinching, slimy business dealers, and then
shifty and like
and then you make a movie about a shifty, slimy Jewish jeweler. Like it's like
literally, if the only way it'd be more of a stereotype if he was a banker. That's the only way, or a producer in Hollywood. Only way you could have made it more of a stereotype.
Yes, because Jews control the media.
Right, obviously. Said the Jew on a podcast about movies.
I'm so mad. Like, Cloris, why did you recommend this?
No. Okay, well, hold on. It was great. I love it.
Y'all can like it. I just I'm so upset. Like, I can blame myself for Tiger King because I said that we should watch that, and that gave me anxiety. I
apologize for Click. Straight up, I apologize. I'm sorry.
Click was my idea, so I can also apologize. I can always beat myself up for that one.
Well, it's just I'll take the over, guys. I got you.
Uncut Gems. Like, Florence, I don't think I'll ever forgive you for this one.
Can we next watch like Robots or something? Like,
I'm so upset. I don't.
So I really like. I've seen a lot of movies, and I've seen a lot of movies about messed up stuff. So it takes a lot to shock me, and I really enjoy when movies get like a really big reaction out of me. So and Uncut Gems was like the first movie in a really long time that I'd actually done that, where I walked out of the theater when I watched it, and I was like, I need to go sit down and just think everything through and process what I just watched. And I think that sometimes it's nice to see something that's worse in your current situation. But
okay. I believe it.
Yeah, it's just
not
a comforting film.
How you feel about Uncut Gems is how I felt about Joker. I walked out of Joker being I hate this. And the more I thought about it, the more I was actually, no, I really, really like this movie. And it just, it's unsettling, and the unsettling is what makes me not want to like it. But, I just feel everything in this movie, could have been solved so much easier than how it's actually solved. If that makes sense. I don't like unnecessary, drama. I guess, so that the fact that, there are so many things that like Howard could have done differently, and suddenly he doesn't end up dead at the end of the movie. Is like
He could have been like
like
an honest person. Listen, I would have been absolutely fine if he was an honest businessman who happened to have a gambling problem, and like that's the reason that he like was in so much debt. But I feel like the fact that he's a bad businessman just kind of it's an insult to injury. Like this movie would have been fucking pointless. Sorry, I just swore. This movie would have been pointless if he was like a good, honest businessman.
yeah, I know.
Because he could have just been like, look, like, listen, I'm really trying to make the money back here. I know I'm like on some hard times, but here, let's set up a payment plan. You're a businessman. Let's set up a payment plan so I don't die.
Well, I mean, he's on a payment. I think that's my issue is that like it's like he's supposed to be a terrible businessman, but I feel like if he had been a good businessman with a really serious gambling addiction, it would have been more compelling for me, and I would have felt worse than how I felt when he died. Because when he dies, I don't necessarily feel bad. I'm just more like, why the did you do that? Like, that's the only emotion I felt when he gets shot. Is like, why did you do that? And then everything else is just like I don't feel bad for him. I'm like, why did you do this? Also, to back up path before that, all of his problems could have been solved within the first 45 minutes of the movie if Arno hadn't called somebody to stop something. Because Arno calls and tells whoever the guy is he places the bet and says stop the bet. If Arno hadn't done that, then he would have had $600,000. He only owed him $100,000. Could have paid that off, and then paid off literally everybody else, and would have had money to piss away doing something else. And then you could have had him like solve something with that, and then have him get into a bigger hole because he places a bet and loses that bet, and that's the bet that puts him in the hole like drastically. Like, sorry, Caleb, how do you feel? Because you haven't spoken at all, and I'm like, I have all the anger.
Okay, so I first watched this movie back when it was in theaters with my good friend. And we both knew, we were both like, it's an A24 film, so there's going to be some weird things about it. And it's an Adam Sandler movie, so there's going to be some weird things about it. And the emotions that the emotional roller coaster that this movie took me on, I very much enjoyed, and I walked out of the theater feeling fulfilled, which isn't usually how I walk out of movie theaters. So I enjoyed the movie, and even rewatching it, I was still like, yeah, this is a good movie. I enjoyed it.
I don't judge y'all for liking it. I just don't. Y'all are allowed to have y'all's opinion.
I think the representation of Jewish people is a problem. But I think it's sitting in a good place.
Okay. Well, how did you feel about it? Because I feel like you also haven't spoken a lot.
Okay, well, when I was watching the movie, I actually thought about this. You know, when they're having the Passover meal, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going over the 10 plagues. Honestly, like, I would rather sit through all 10 of those plagues firsthand than like watch this movie again. To be honest. Because like it's just such an uncomfortable movie.
That's why I like it. I like movies that make you uncomfortable.
Can I say something?
No, I'd rather watch this movie than go through any of the 10 plagues.
Can I say something? Will,
yes,
do you know what the 10 plagues are?
They're awful.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
The culmination of the 10 plagues, for those of you who don't know, is the killing of the firstborn son.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the 10th one, right? The other ones are just like
There's
Well, I'd be
famine.
down.
Water turns to
There's
blood.
famine,
There's famine.
famine,
There's
disease,
there's beasts.
locusts, frogs.
This-
Frogs? Is that
Uh,
really a
Yes,
negative?
frogs
though?
is one of them.
the third
Yeah.
plague. Yes, frogs.
What is it?
Okay.
Frogs, locusts, death of the firstborn son, famine.
Blood. The water turns to blood.
Yeah,
Dark-
water turns to blood.
Just sudden
Oh
darkness
yeah, there's no sun.
comes out of nowhere.
There's no sun. What I'm missing 4 of them. What are the other 4 that I'm missing?
Let's look this up. I had to look this up the other day, and my dad got mad at me because I'm supposed to. Passover was like a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, or it started, whatever. Yeah. I'm missing 4, but they're awful. And I remember because I learned about the 10 plagues from watching Moses, that like animated movie. I love that movie. I watched that one, and that's why I learned about the 10 plagues. And I remember watching the one like the plague about the frogs and all the frogs like coming out of nowhere and being like, I don't hate frogs, but what a nuisance that would be, because it's not, they don't really like do anything. They're just everywhere. It's like they'll pour water and it's a frog. Like they'll go to bathe in the river, frogs. Like they would like try to cook food, frogs. It was like, why were they there?
Okay.
They were
the 10 plagues in order: water to blood, frogs, bugs. Oh, they're not in order. Sorry. Wild animals, pestilence, which is the killing of the domestic animals, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and death of the firstborn.
Yep. The plague is in there.
I don't think I'd rather go through the 10 things than watch Uncut Gems.
I'd rather watch
That
Uncut
was
Gems
kinda
again.
hyperbole, but you know.
I know. I'd rather watch Uncut Gems again and be hella uncomfortable than experience any of the plagues.
The frog
favorite-
one, wouldn't that be fun?
The frog one.
I think
You
it'd
know
be fun.
what? I would be down to be to like the frog one. That one. Not
Thank
the,
you, Caleb.
I mean, the
Finally,
frog one's not
somebody.
that bad because the frog one's one of the earlier ones when they were like, when God was like, you know, y'all should really get it together. And
You should
he's
maybe
trying,
reconsider Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh's
Yeah.
like, nah.
like the first couple plagues or the first couple, yeah. What are they called? My brain just blanked. Anyway, like the first couple of them are just chilling. Like they're not that bad. When Locust hits, that's when I was like, I'm over it. Because Locust, they ate all the food. And that was, the next one was famine. So it was like, oh. Sorry, my anxiety just rose all over again. My favorite, I'm trying to figure out, what happens after this. So he gives Kevin Garnett the opal that he's supposed to take to auction the next day so somebody can get cleaned and appraised. But, you know, Kevin Garnett's more important than following through with your job. Then
I just want to point out, if I'm already like really in too deep, I'd rather have Kevin Garnett mad at me than no opal.
facts. So then Kevin Garnett goes and plays a game. What is it? Plays a game. What's his face? No, there's something in the middle.
What happens in the middle is Adam Sandler goes to change his bet. He takes the ring that Kevin Garnett gives him as a placeholder for the opal, and gets it and pawns it, and then takes the money and goes to place a bet in which he just bets on KG.
Yep.
KG pops off. Adam Sandler's character wins the money.
Yeah, Adam Sandler character wins the money. From there, we go back to the girlfriend's, like the mistress's apartment. Hated that entire scene.
Oh yeah, incredibly uncomfortable.
Oh,
Unnecessary.
actually, like it wasn't uncomfortable. I just hated it because I was like, as a child of the 21st century, I know what it is like to sext. I don't want to watch a 50-year-old man sext his 20-something-year-old girlfriend. I just don't. I
also don't want to watch Adam Sandler spy on his girlfriend sexting him.
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't that part wasn't that bad. I thought like he was gonna catch her cheating. That's what I thought was gonna happen. So I was like, oh, he's gonna catch her lying.
If you are cheating on your wife with someone, you can't get angry when your mistress cheats on you.
Oh, but we do, and we'll get there.
Adam
So then, what's up?
Adam Sandler reminds me of my dad, and so it's just gross. I just don't like it.
Okay, when you say that, do you mean in the way he acts or the way he looks?
He kind of looks like my dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry you had to watch that then. Because that's awful. Yuck. Anyway,
Will, you're muted.
Oh crap. Okay. Sorry. My comment is that I thought that scene was 100% written by Adam Sandler.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
yeah.
That was my first thought.
What I would have loved is because he wins the money, he goes and he buys her something, which did they buy the same thing? Because that's where I thought he was gonna think she was cheating, because they both had the same exact bag. He just took his with him into the closet when he hid. So there's that. But what would have made it funny for me is because she like walks out in this lingerie set, which cute lingerie set, love it, would want it, it's great. But so she walks out and then he's like, what are you wearing? And I was like, ew. And he was like, send me a picture. And then she sends him a picture. What would have had a more profound effect on me was if they had showed how bored she was as opposed to her being into it. Does that make sense?
I would have enjoyed that a lot more.
Character.
Well, no, I know. I like men all the time, but that doesn't mean whenever like they want to sext, I want to sext. So if it had been a thing of like he texts her trying to get off because he can see her, so he's trying to get all freaky or whatever, and she's kind of just like over it and like trying to just like look at the bag and stuff that she bought or whatever, and she's just like
casually wear lingerie sets.
Well, maybe she wasn't into like the sexting stuff, but like in person she's into it.
Yeah. So, but like,
yeah,
I don't. But like, isn't she a model too? So she could have come from a photo shoot, and that was just under her clothes. So I like that part wasn't the issue. Like, what? Not an issue at all. Like the scene's fine. I don't really like it, but the scene's fine. It was like, but if like would have injected a little bit of humor into the movie, because it's fine. Because whenever they try to inject humor into the film, sometimes it just doesn't land the way I would have like want it to land. But if they had injected humor in this instance with her being like kind of out of it, and then and he kind of gets upset because she's not really into it when he wants her to be into it, that would have been the thing that would have made me laugh. But hearing how hard Adam Sandler was and how wet she was, I could have lived without it.
That made me pause the movie straight up. I had to take a break. I was like,
imagine the first time you watch that, you can't pause it because you're in a movie theater surrounded by people.
I'm sorry.
I know people who have watched
you
this
and
movie
Chorus
with their
because y'all
parents.
saw it in theaters.
Caleb, how hard did you cringe?
So much. It was so much.
It's just like,
I saw it at Circle Cinema, and so the theater is significantly smaller.
Yes.
So it was just even more suffocating.
Oh no.
I went and saw this with a person with whom I have had a relationship with in the past.
Oh no, ma'am.
oh
You
boy.
played yourself.
I mean, we both went because we're both film nerds, but like it was
You
not.
got played by Adam Sandler.
I got played by Adam Sandler.
Can that be the
That was
title?
Adam Sandler's version of
The
Punk'd.
title. We got played by Adam Sandler.
Yes, it can be. What was I about to say next? So from there and that cringiness, it cuts to I'm completely missing this part where he like went home and had to deal with his children. He had to put them to bed. I also thought the youngest son was way younger than what he actually is.
Like, why was he watching the game on the floor of his son's room?
Because he was supposed to put his son to bed. He's supposed to say goodnight to his son, but he's watching the game to see how the game's gonna pan out. So it's like to show that the game is more important than his son, even though his son is like maybe 8 years old. And his son's like old enough to where putting him to bed, you wouldn't have to sit and watch him. At least that's how old the little boy looks. The little boy could be like 5 or 6, and that's how old he is and whatever. But they didn't establish ages very well. So,
It really didn't.
It's true.
I mean, it didn't really matter to the movie necessarily.
yeah, it did. It was like you have the youngest one, and then I thought his daughter was going to be younger, like younger, like she was gonna be like it was gonna be like a little play, and then she was in high school, so I was like, okay. And then you have the middle one who's like 14 maybe, and then you have the youngest one. So it is what it is. But I missed that whole scene. So then after that, then we jump to him living on top of the world and then going to his daughter's play, to which Nico and Paul are sitting in the audience to ambush him. I don't know when. But also, if he had just sat in his seat and not gotten up, could have saved him a little bit of trouble. But I guess you don't want to get in trouble in front of your family. So that's also something. But this like run around the school and then get kidnapped. Were they just doing donuts in the parking lot?
They must have been.
Because where were they going? And then
of all the things I wanted to watch when I had signed up to watch this movie, the top 2 answers would be Adam Sandler sexting and Adam Sandler getting stripped.
Yes.
And thrown in the trunk of a car.
Those are the best scenes, baby.
That actually was the one scene that like when he's running for his like wife the first time and they catch him in the hallway and the guy like puts his arm around his neck. Every time I watch anything where they're fighting and there's like an arm around the neck, but like you can get your mouth and bite and nobody actually bites somebody, I was like, you have your teeth, use them. The fact that Adam Sandler bit him, I was like, yes. I was like,
accurate fight scene.
Yes, because like, if you're being attacked, you're gonna use every possible means to get away from somebody. So yes, and then he gets away, and then I don't know if he bit Paul or if he bit Nico, but it's not really important to the plot at all. Then he gets snatched up in this car, which when he sees Arno driving past and he just stands there, I was like, dumb decision.
Bro, run to your car, get in your car, drive away. Like
I was like, run to your, and then when he starts like pressing the car keys button, I was like, it's too late. You should have started pressing it the moment you saw him to alert somebody was outside, to alert somebody trying to break into a car.
That's what the car alarm is for.
Yeah.
It's
or
actually
like
let you know if your car is being broken into. But
yeah. There's that, or he could have even like turned, like he could even have ran because like Nico and Paul came out the same way he came out. So if he had just like ran back to like, if he had started running the moment he saw Arno, he could have came back to the front of the building and went back inside and sat back down. And they're not going to cause a comeuppance at a high school play or whatever.
I also thought it was very creepy that they showed up to the play and just sat down in the seats. But at the same time, like, I guess they're patrons for the high school at that point. Like, they bought tickets for the show.
Yeah.
So, like
them coming and like sitting in the seats made sense to me, because if you're gonna threaten somebody to get money, like threatening your family would be something that I would do.
Here's
Heard it
how
here
to
first,
extort
folks.
money
Jenna
from
will threaten your family
your
for
host,
money.
Jenna.
What did you say, Caleb?
I said here's a how to extort money from people with your host Jenna.
Look,
The review crew presents how to extort money.
I watch far too many. Like I watch far too many crime shows that I've like in my head. I could commit the perfect murder. Could not in actuality, because like, first of all, my conscience wouldn't even let me kill anybody. So I don't even know why that thought crosses my mind. But
I feel bad when I hurt someone emotionally. I'm not killing anyone.
Yeah, no, I watched a CSI episode, tangential, but I watched a CSI episode where this man like kills these two women because they're con artists, and they like steal his wallet. And he's an actuary, so he like starts crunching numbers in his head as to how likely would it be that somebody would care that they died? How likely would it be that the crime would be solved? How likely would it be this, that, and the other? And he's like figuring all this out. But he does like so many dumb things that doesn't make sense. Like he runs away. Like, but after he kills one girl, he like leaves her in the hallway and like just her underwear. But then he like flushes her dress down the toilet and then like hides her shoes in the air vent. I was like, this is how I know you're dumb, because the hotel has to clean the room up. So if you just left the shoes and the dress there and checked out, they would have thrown the shoes and the dress away. And then they weren't going to go dumpster diving for it, because that's like trying to find a needle in a sack of needles. So what would have been the point? Whole point was, I was like, this man is dumb. Here's how you kill people and get away with it. And I was like, hold on. I couldn't even do that. So let me stop. But yeah, so that scene made sense to me. Him being, when Adina Menzel had to run out and unlock the trunk for him to get him out of the trunk, I died. Because when the trunk opens and he's like, I'm good. I was like, thank God we did not get Adam Sandler penis, because I think I would have died.
I had to stop watching the movie when he got in the trunk, because I'm like, I'm not mentally prepared to possibly see Adam Sandler's penis.
I wasn't either. I was like, wow, they really just took it. They leave him in his underwear, locked in the car. Good on him, because I thought they would have taken all the underwear and everything else. And then they like shove him in the trunk, and the guy's like, take his underwear. I was like, oh no, I can't. I don't know how, like, I will have to turn the movie off if I see Adam Sandler penis. I will have, like, it'll be done. I will have to tell Cloris she has to leave, because I will not be able to finish this movie.
If I saw Adam Sandler penis, I'd be like, I can't with this movie. This is the movie that broke me.
Because the amount of times Adam Sandler has had the opportunity to show his genitalia on screen, infinite. Because in all of his movies, there's some kind of naked joke. But I think this movie in particular would have broke me in my head. So
what would have broken me is he's playing a middle-aged New York Jew, and it's just like that's what I grow up. That's what I evolve into. That's what I'm gonna grow up to be. So it's just like, really, I don't need to know. I just don't.
It's okay. So
Wait, here's the plot hole.
Mhm.
How did he have his phone in the trunk if they took all of his clothes?
That's what I thought too.
He just
I
has
was
a
like-
phone in his trunk. You guys don't have a phone in your trunk?
No.
Oh,
But
sorry, I
him
forgot
having
about that.
Him having a set of clothes in his trunk, I was like, look at this, always prepared, like that. But that phone was not in the trunk, Harry, and you know it. The trunk was in his hand.
I was being facetious.
I know, but you know, it wasn't. It was most definitely in his, like, they didn't take his phone. And I guess they didn't take his phone because he needs a phone to get in contact with them, and that's the only reason why they didn't take it. But that would have made more sense to me if we had watched them like throw it at his face and then close the trunk. I'd have been like, it makes sense to how he got it. So from there, we cut to whatever his daughter's name, doing phenomenal in the play and having this weird scene where coins fall out of her mouth and
What play
whatnot.
was that?
I'm not sure. I saw the title on the wall, but I don't know what play it actually was. So yeah. Then what happens after that? Then we cut back to the house where he's getting ready to go to the weekend listening party. Kevin Garnett still hasn't given him back his opal, which I was like, of course you're not getting it back. You loaned it to Kevin Garnett. Like, you literally loaned it to Kevin Garnett. Like, there was no point. Like, what would he want it back for? Because honestly, Kevin Garnett could have just called the police and told them that he stole his championship ring, got the championship ring back, and never given them back the opal. But you know, nobody makes good choices in this film. So then we go to the weekend party, and we hear music from the weekend that was from circa 2012. That no one knew, because why? He's supposed to be an underground artist.
I thought that was a very funny kind of reference to The Weeknd, because it was 2012, and The Weeknd's like kind of big now.
Yeah.
So saying like, oh yeah, he's this really underground guy, The Weeknd. Kind of, it made
That's kind of funny, yeah.
I also liked what was it? The Michael Jackson sacrificial cross thing. That also had no payoff. Unless I'm not remembering something. The only other payoff it had was when Adam Sandler's character goes to the Weeknd thing, and the guy's like, "Where's my Michael Jackson cross?" And I was like, "Okay." That was the only payoff. So we see the Weeknd, and we run back into Lakeith Stanford's character, who, surprise, surprise, does not have the opal. Why was Adam Sandler surprised? I don't know. He just was. And then when he was like, "Are you going to this weekend party thing?" And he was like, "I mean, I didn't have any plans on it." And then he gets there. It was like, he had every plan to go. Every plan. Like, why did you think he was telling you the truth? Anyway. So then we almost see Adam Sandler.
He probably planned his day around going to this weekend party
100%.
thing.
I also would have been, because isn't this after he left him in Jersey too? Philly? Not Jersey, Philly. Because they had to drive down to Philly to pick up the opal, and then Lakeith Stanford's character walks into the locker room and leaves him there. So then Adam Sandler has to take a bus back to New York, which he complained about, but you know, buses are filthy. So I get it. Then we had like this potential fight with Lakeith Stanford, but then you get like not the first taste, but like the first taste that Adam Sandler has more bark than bite. Because the moment Lakeith Stanford's character tries to square up, he backs down and he's like, "No, we're cool. When you're not cool. You literally have something that I need, and it's not here." Also, question that I had, why does Adam Sandler's character not have a gun this entire film?
I didn't think of it.
I think it adds to his character more. Kind of like, you know, like you did say, like he has more bark than bite. That is a very big characteristic of Adam Sandler. As soon as someone tries to get violent, he'll scream at you, but as soon as someone tries to get violent, he'll back down. So I think that's kind of like to his character. He doesn't have a gun because a gun would resemble violence, and he's not a violent person.
But you're surrounded by so much violence. What were you saying, Cloris?
Kind of forgot it. Oh, he's addicted to the chaos itself. Like he wants to be in control of everything, or at least convince himself that he's in control of everything, but without ever actually like following through with anything. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Did you just drop a whole box of Cheez-Its?
Do you have a problem, Caleb?
No, I just wanted to make sure that was Jesus.
All right, mind your business then. Thank you. Anyway, and they're not Cheez-Its, they're toasty Cheez-Its because how else would I eat them? So from that party scene, we cut to the after party where Julia is having sex with The Weeknd, but not having sex with The Weeknd.
That was weird.
I also didn't need to hear about how aroused The Weeknd was. Like,
This was a very horny movie.
oh, I also completely forgot when Adam Sandler first pulls the opal out of the fish and he's looking at it and the guy's trying to tell him that he's quitting. And Adam Sandler just looks up at him with all seriousness and says, "I'm gonna come." I was like, I'm going to end this film.
Yeah.
How much time had elapsed at that point? Like 20 minutes?
No time at all. I mean, we'd already seen his anus,
Jesus.
so I guess.
Okay. We should have played we should have before we watched Click, we should have had Adam Sandler bingo where we just have a bunch of we have like a 5x5 with a bunch of stuff that Adam Sandler does in a lot of movies, and we should see how many boxes this one ticks, because god damn, this is a really it was Caleb, you said it best. This is a really horny movie, and there's just
It's like Twitter right now. Like if you go on Twitter right now, because of this quarantine, you're gonna see something you don't want to see. Watch an Uncut Gems. It's the same deal.
This movie doesn't care about your feelings.
What was that? Chorus, you broke up.
This movie really doesn't care about your feelings.
It's
You're
not.
right.
the Joker at least kind of gave a shit about our feelings.
Like, Uncut Gems punched me in the face more than one time. So that whole scene of like Julia and The Weeknd in the bathroom was so uncomfortable to me, because it was like, oh yes, I'm this very attractive woman, but you can't touch me. I was like, okay, then why are you in this bathroom with him unless you're going to have sex with him?
They
Like,
were
I
doing
know.
cocaine.
Huh?
They were doing cocaine.
Oh, I knew that. I thought, well, yeah, cocaine, yes. But then we're about to do the sex. And then like, no, when I saw them snorting cocaine, I was like, oh, right. The Weeknd did have a really bad drug phase. Yes, this all makes sense. Because I remember he got Selena Gomez addicted to coke. Yes.
Here's the reason Selena Gomez was addicted to coke.
Yeah. It was like Selena Gomez and The Weeknd dated at like the height of his drug addiction.
Damn, I did not.
Yep. And I think he dated Selena after he dated Gigi, or before he dated Gigi. It was one of the two. But I think it was after he dated Gigi, because I think the drugs got worse after he and Gigi broke up. Not important. Random Weeknd knowledge that I just have in my brain. So then we hear about how aroused The Weeknd is, and then it cuts to Howard trying to get into this party, to which the guy who designed the Michael Jackson chain is in the party, gets him in. Then The Weeknd and Adam Sandler get into a fight, which that was a good scene. I did like the Weeknd fight scene. But then Adam Sandler's character yelling about how he's going to sue The Weeknd, I was like, what are you getting out of this?
Okay, I just want to, real quick,
Mm-hmm.
this kind of, I was really upset with about this movie. I did like this movie quite a bit, what I got really upset with about this movie was how it kind of like perpetuated a bunch of Jewish stereotypes. And I feel like the fact that Howard, of all the things he could have said to threaten the Weeknd, said, "I'm going to sue you," is case in point about how it portrays Jews. It's just like, you could have been like, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to end you. I don't know, but I'm going to sue you." Like, are you kidding me?
But that was something that like people did a lot in 2012.
Really, Caleb?
No, okay, let me explain. Let me explain this because I remember the pivotal point. Because I, as a child, if something inconvenienced me, I would say, "Oh, I'm gonna sue you." Now I either say, "Fight me," or "That's homophobic."
See, I'm the same way, except I say, "Fight me," or "That's racist," "That's sexist," or "That's homophobic." So you're correct.
I usually, my go-to is "fight me" or "that's anti-Semitic." And I wish I was kidding.
Cloris, what do you go to? And Will, you're next, but I don't know what you would go to. I think Will might just, never mind.
Yeah, I snap. I just straight snap every time.
Will just murders people. Like, that's what Will does.
Will has a body count, but like not in the way you're thinking.
They're just in his basement right now.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that people use. I feel like "I'm going to sue you" used to like be more of a threat that people used. Now the only people using it is Onision.
Woo! Okay. And so from there we get the "I love you, I'm sorry that I cheated, but nothing. I'm sorry, I love you, I didn't cheat, even though I'm in a precarious position where it was like I cheated" scene, to which his girlfriend is called a skank, to which my favorite line is when she says, "Well, you know what you got into when you got with me," which I was like, yes, honey.
I did think that was a very... I feel like the second half of this movie is almost self-redeeming in that the chaos that was implied in the first half in the exposition is very much replicated in the the second half into falling action of the movie. And I feel like even when because it was like he did cheat on his wife with this person who was a model, and when she was like, "You know what you got into when you like," I'm like, that's a very well written line. It fits nicely with the movie and the chaos.
Yes, 100% yes. I didn't like that. I didn't like that whole. I don't know. I never like scenes in movies where it's odd, like where it's like known that the man's cheating on his wife, and then he gets cheated on, and he wants to like demand loyalty. It's like, no, you don't get to cheat and then demand loyalty. That's not how that works. So yeah. So then from there we go to the next morning, and I don't know what actually happens at this point in the movie because I had like checked out after that. I know he goes back to the shop. I think this is when Kevin Garnett gives him back the opal, right? Because does he give it back to him before or after Passover?
I also love the fact that Passover is a central part of this movie.
Well, Passover is a central part of the movie because we had to have Passover, and after Passover, we told him the kids were getting divorced.
I think he gets it after.
I was about to say, yeah.
So then he goes to the shop. I think maybe Paul and Nico show up. Somebody shows up, and he gets into. Oh no, it's when he's like on the phone with a bunch of people, And like Julia's trying to, no, this is when, wait, no, this is not, when is this scene? No, this is when he gets the opal back. Because Julia's trying to call him. He won't talk to Julia. And then whatever his name, like Lakeith Stanford's character brings Kevin Garnett in. Kevin Garnett asks for his ring, and he says that he doesn't have it, and he'll get it back in however long it'll take him to get it back. Then Lakeith poisons the water that the fish are in. Like he pours like the alcohol or whatever he's drinking into the fish tank, starts taking a bunch of his stuff, and then leaves. And I think that's like the last time we see Lakeith in the movie related to Adam Sandler, I think. And then he takes the opal, goes to, I guess, gives it to the lady at the auction or whatever, and then goes to wherever to have Passover. I think it was like right before Passover. And they're eating dinner, talking about the plagues. Then we have all the men watching a sport, I think, and all the girls are doing whatever the girls are doing. And then you walk in on Idina Menzel in this really pretty dress that has to be straight out of the 1980s. But I loved it. Then we have this like heart to heart where I don't want to get a divorce, but I don't want to leave my mistress. So we have that conversation.
At that point in the movie, I was watching this movie at night, like a week ago today, like at night, and at that moment I screamed, "God damn it, Adam Sandler!" Because like this dude is getting in his own way the entire movie, and there's this one moment where he's like, kind of understanding, is like, look, I've clearly, like he's clearly gotten into some deep shit. That's undeniable. But he's kind of realizing what's most important to him in that moment where he's like, wow, this is my wife, and she looks beautiful, and she's amazing, and she's great. Like we have a family together. I don't want to leave this. But then he's also like, but I got a mistress though. So like, seriously?
Yeah. I mean, this is also like when he's like not with, like he and Julia have like broken up technically, because then everything after Passover is like a blur because it happens so fast. Like everything after Passover, it just like jumps like face first into concrete. You leave Passover, and then we go like back to the jeweler. I think Passover's on Sunday, so it's Monday now. Or whatever. And they're trying to, what are they trying to do? He's like, I think Monday's when he goes to auction or whatnot. Right?
I think so.
So he goes to the auction. He's trying to get $200,000 for the opal, and he only gets $190,000 for it. To which then I was confused on how much money he actually owed Arno, because they seemed like pissed at him for something. Does anybody know why he was mad and they threw him into the water fountain, the fountain?
I think they were just mad that like that through all of this, through all of this, Adam Sandler still like he came up short. Because it was like, how much did he literally appraise it for, Adam Sandler?
I don't know. Because I don't think he ever appraised it. But I know he was trying to get $200,000 for it, and then whoever was appraising it, like whoever was who's like fighting him in the battle, wouldn't go up. So he basically won back his own diamond for $190,000. And that whole thing was so confusing to me too. But then he gets thrown into the fountain. And what I find to be really, really funny is that if you look in the background when he gets thrown in the fountain, there's like an elderly couple like in the background, and the look on the elderly woman's face is so funny because she's like, "What just happened?" Like her jaw has dropped. She's just like looking at Adam Sandler soaking wet coming out of this fountain. It was so funny. It's what like, got me through the rest of the movie. Then we go back to the shop, to which he is doing what? He's crying because he's like literally in over his head. He calls his wife to tell her to hide the kids because he thinks someone's gonna come after them. Kevin Garnett comes to buy the opal from him. I think Kevin Garnett spends $160,000 to get the opal or whatever. So now he has what? 200 and nope, can't do math. $230,000 now, right? Something like that. Because I don't know why he doesn't just take that money and immediately give it to Arno unless he owes Arno more. Then Paul and Nico hang him out of a window after he gives Julia the $160,000 to go gamble it so he can win $1 million, I think, right?
His logic in the end of the movie makes no sense.
Right? But
he's like, gambling has never worked for me in the past, but this time
it worked for him the last time if Arno had shut up. Like, if Arno hadn't said anything, he would have made $600,000 and been clear with all his debt. Also, he owes money to somebody else. But we don't know who that somebody else is. Because remember, there's like the two Jewish guys who come up to him, like when he leaves, like the auction place.
Let me really quickly go off about them. The only way, first of all, if those are like Adam Sandler's character said to himself, he's like, "What are you trying to intimidate me?" Like these two guys that come up, the two Jewish guys that come up, the least intimidating people on the planet. Like they look like they're like in their 40s or 50s. They have like a bald spot on their head, and like, hey, you owe us some money. Can we please have it back? Like, I'm sorry, what? Have you never intimidated somebody? Like, if you've been in the business for a while, not that I have, I'm not speaking from experience, but if you've been in the business for a while, you got to know how to intimidate someone.
But there's that, and he owes them the least amount of money. He owes them $30,000.
Yeah.
And he was like, and then he gives them a watch and says, "Take this somewhere, cash. It's worth 30 G's. Cash it in somewhere and get 15 racks or whatever." And I was like, that does not add up. If it's worth $30,000 and you cash it in somewhere, you should get $30,000, not $15,000. So what? Anyway, then aren't they the same people who buy the opal or whatever for him? I don't know.
I don't
know.
I lost it.
I don't know.
I just my mind, and I was so stressed.
They pop up somewhere else, and like toward the end of the movie, but whatever. So then Julia flies down to, I'm assuming, New Jersey, where you can place bets. Whatever. She puts $160,000 down on the Celtics, right? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Puts that money down on the Celtics, then goes and sits somewhere with another guy who's trying to get her to sleep with him. It's not working, which was gross. Then it cuts back to Adam Sandler's character, and he's locked Paul, Nico, and Arno in like the waiting area of his jeweler shop because you have to buzz people in and out, which didn't know that was a thing, but wild. I mean, it was a thing that was established at the beginning of the movie, but still. Locks them in there, to which he tells them that he's going to make them $1 million or something like that. And then the game happens. Kevin Garnett's on fire. He's a Knicks fan because, he's a Jew. He's a Knicks fan, but he's betting on the Celtics because even a Jew will turn on his morals for money. Then
love these overarching themes about Jews, and don't we all?
Then Kevin Garnett wins him the game, but we don't really see Kevin Garnett win the game. We just know he does because you see Julia call Howard. They're very, very excited. A lot of I love yous are shared. Then you see Arno, Paul, and Nico just at awe that he managed to place this bet and win. And then he lets them into the shop, and the first thing Paul does is put a bullet in his eye.
Yeah.
And I said, what the fuck?
Big mood.
If it helps, I didn't feel bad for him.
Like, no, I also didn't feel bad for him, but literally my entire thought was, why did you do that? Like, it does not make sense as to why you did that. Why did you do it? Like, I was so pissed. I was like, what? And then not only did you put a bullet in him, but your boss is also standing right there, and your boss is like, he just made us $1 million, or like he just like, or he however much he promised him out of whatever he made, he just made us a bunch of money. Why would you shoot him? Because now he can't get the money. Like, why did you shoot him? To which Paul then flips on his boss and is like, hush, or I'll put a bullet in you. And he's like, okay, you know what? It's fine. Just let me go. I don't care. As he's yelling at Nico to get the bags from the back to put the diamonds in, to which Nico's doing that. Then he puts a bullet into his boss, and the movie's over. I don't understand. Do y'all have any thoughts? I'm angry.
But the end scene, whenever it zooms into his wound, and then it's like the opal in the beginning, and like the universe, and it's all chaotic.
And then the rectum.
Yeah, that too. Nice circle or like loop. No.
It kind of comes full circle in like
No, it doesn't.
how
Stop.
it begins and ends. Stop. I'm talking about like the literal cinematography comes full circle.
I'm glad Cora Corson can laugh at this because I'm pissed. I'm so mad. Like, when I tell you, like, I don't have to have all movies give me a good payoff. They don't. Like, you can give me an unhappy ending. You can have the movie end where something bad happens. I don't have to have a happy ending with everything. I don't necessarily have to have things like make sense all the time. I can walk out of a movie confused, but I walked out of this one infuriated because nothing made sense. Like all of the decisions that were made from the time the opal was purchased, because it took him a year and some change to find this opal. So from the time that he found this opal, purchased it, got it illegally shipped to America, given it to Kevin Garnett for no reason, got it back from Kevin Garnett, auctioned it off.
If he didn't give it to Kevin Garnett, this probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
that's the inciting incident of the whole movie.
Like, auctions it off, like fake auctions it off to get some money, then sells the same opal that he just auctioned off back to Kevin Garnett because Kevin Garnett wants it, even though you still need to take the opal out of the rock. And then, like, from there, gamble away the part of the $230,000 you just earned to earn $1 million. Then you make the money. Like, you literally make the money. It's on its way back from New Jersey, and then you shoot him. What sense does that make? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any logical sense. I would, like, if I'm going to kill Adam Sandler's character because he's just pissed me off for the last week and a half, and I can't stand this, like, conniving, sniveling Jewish man. Like, I just can't stand him. I'm
Right.
getting my $1 million, then I'm shooting him. Like, I'm shooting you after I have the money in my possession. And if I'm gonna turn on my boss, I'm shooting my boss after the money is in my possession. Like, I'm not shooting Adam Sandler before the money's even back.
Take a deep breath.
We gotta start doing breathing exercises if we're gonna keep watching stressful movies.
Let's make the next movie a non-stressful one. For
Robots.
all.
We watch
The
robots.
next one is Parasite. So
Darn.
Well, after that, let's watch.
Who's
like,
ready for
12
some aerobics?
Let's watch Robots.
Yeah,
I
let's
know,
do
we
it.
should watch
2005
it.
smash hit.
We should watch Tommy Wiseau's The Room.
no,
I agree.
No.
Let's watch The Room.
y'all can
Right.
watch it. I veto that for myself. I've already seen it. I'm not watching it again.
I have-
O'Neill Breen film.
Yes,
I
Neil
thought we
Breen.
said we were gonna watch
Great.
Cat in the Hat.
Oh,
That's a stressful movie. Come on.
It's a stressful movie.
That's a super stressful movie.
Speed Racer, 2008
Yes.
Speed Racer.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't remember Speed Racer 2008. I saw it in theaters, but I don't remember anything that happened.
I don't think you understand how adamant I am about watching Speed Racer.
It's good.
I'm broken. So that's all I need to know.
Can we watch Jupiter Ascending? That's why.
The Bees.
Ah, yes.
Can we just watch the B movie?
Hey, let's do it.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix.
It's a different Jewish version.
It's a better representation of Jews than Uncut Gems, and the Jewish person's a bee.
Hold on. Doesn't Barry B. Benson have a bar mitzvah at some point in the film?
What? Hold on.
I
What?
think they referenced him having a bar mitzvah or something.
I remember vividly there is a scene where Barry B. Benson is wearing a yarmulke. Unless I'm just like making this up.
I want to
mean-
watch the movie.
Like,
I don't think I've ever seen the B movie.
oh, now we have to watch it.
Actually,
I feel like I'm obligated
Parasite.
to watch it.
Parasite, then the B movie.
Can we watch the B movie first?
B movie.
Yeah, let's
then-
watch
okay.
the movie first.
Yeah.
Fun
I'm
fact,
so
I-
sorry. I am dying. Tiger King was anxiety inducing. Click was infuriating because it deserved to stay in 2006 and I should have just let nostalgia be nostalgia. Uncut
What
Gems
the hell?
raised my blood pressure to the point of I might have to take a blood pressure pill after this. I have never been there are so many movies where I get angry about how they ended because it's not how I wanted it to end. I was y'all should have seen me when Game of Thrones ended because I was infuriated when Game of Thrones ended because that was a terrible ending of a show. But Uncut Gems is I would watch all 7 seasons of Game of Thrones again for the first time just to watch season 8 and be angry again. I would do it again before I watch Uncut Gems because that's how unfulfilling of an ending it was. Oh,
It's pretty bad.
I'm so mad.
Who else has a final verdict? Are we doing
I'm sorry.
ratings?
We haven't got there yet. I know I'm pissed. How did y'all feel about the rest of the ending before we go into ratings?
I liked the ending. I felt like it was a deserved ending because he was a scummy character and he got a scummy ending.
I agree.
I completely agree with you.
Well
It was
put.
very fulfilling for me.
It didn't make sense. I feel like it would have been. I feel like with the illusion of a good ending, I feel like I would have felt better. If they did just leave, and then Adam Sandler's character gave them their money, and then he got killed.
Yeah.
That probably would have been a little more fulfilling for me, but I think it was still.
The reason it's not fulfilling for me is because it does not make logical sense to me. Like I'm a super empathetic person. I'm all about the people. I'm a big hippie. I love love. Like I just like I am like the hippiest of dippiest people in my head and whatever. But like when it comes to like money, I never put profit over people because that's awful. But like when it comes to money, I'm not going to do anything that would jeopardize me being able to get the money that I'm owed. Ever. So the fact that you like shot Adam Sandler's character before you got the money, like makes no sense. And even if he had like shot Adam Sandler and Arno before he got the money, and then Julia gets back and he shoots Julia and takes that about $100,000, that $1 million, that would have also been a better ending. Like Adam Sandler can die at the end because, granted, his character is scummy and kind of deserves it. Like maybe I would have also taken an ending where Adam Sandler lives, but they beat him to a point where he can't live without his wife anymore because she has to take care of him. Like they beat him to like a disability, even though that's kind of like even though that's messed up in its own way. I don't want to wish a disability on somebody, but that also kind of sounds ableist. So I'm in this very narrow box. But like if they had like beat him to a pulp where he had to be on life support, and then once he's off of life support, he has to stay with his wife because she has to take care of him because of all the bad decisions that he's made. Like Adam Sandler can get his comeuppance however he wants to. It just has to make sense. And it didn't make sense. So I'm upset. And I want a refund. And I didn't even pay for this.
I thought the ending was alright because whenever Adam Sandler got shot, I was like, this is your punishment. And I was like, this is your punishment for this movie and for Click.
What a very meta response to him being shot in Uncut Gems.
Thank you.
Click was bad, and that's why you died.
I was mostly just relieved when he died because he can't like hurt anybody anymore. He can't screw up anymore.
I'm trying to think about how to make this rating system for this film.
Out of 10 plagues.
Oh. Okay, because I was gonna say out of 5,000 carats that are in this opal, apparently.
We could do that.
We need out of 10 plagues.
All right.
How many plagues would you wish on Adam Sandler's character?
Oh no.
10.
10 plagues? No, hold on. 10 plagues being the worst, 1 plague being the best.
Well, I want Adam Sandler's character to experience 9 plagues, but I thought the movie was good, so I'll give it like a 2 plagues.
I second that. 2 plagues.
I think I'd give it like I'd like 3 plagues or 4 plagues because of how Jews were either represented as Adam Sandler's characters, so like shifty and like a bunch of stuff like that, or as incredibly non-threatening. That definitely knocked it down, but still a good movie. So 3 plagues.
I changed mine. Mine's 5 plagues out of 10 because like parts of it I thought were good, but the other parts of it like I thought were pretty bad. So I say 5 out of 10 plagues, and he doesn't even deserve the frog's plague. I won't give him the
The frog's plague is a gift.
It really is.
I'm gonna give it 10 plagues out of 10 plagues. And he gets the locust plague twice.
Instead of the frogs?
Yeah, because he doesn't deserve the frogs either. Yes. And he only gets 10 plagues. Like originally, I think originally when I first finished the movie, granted I was still mad about the ending, but because I have fleshed out my feelings for it, it gets 10 plagues out of 10 plagues. But originally it probably would have been out of like an 8 plagues out of 10 plagues. But because he gets shot for air quote no reason after winning them the money, it's 10 plagues out of 10 plagues. So the movie gets a 1 from me. An 8 from Caleb, an 8 from Cloris, a 5 from Will, and a 7 from Harry. Ugh, would not watch this movie again.
Yeah, I wouldn't
I
either
don't
because
think
it makes
so
me too
either.
anxious.
Cloris, I'm betting every single recommendation you ever give me ever again.
No. I just didn't want to be alone.
Every time Cloris recommends anything, Cloris is gonna call me in October and be like, "We need somebody else to hop on like a review episode," and I'm gonna be like, "No, what movie are we watching?" And then I'm gonna Google it and I'm like, "No, I refuse."
What if someone else recommends the movie?
Then y'all will be put on the same band as Cloris. Like, what? No. Who almost got put on the like?
Me.
Harry
got
and
banned.
Caleb almost got put on a ban when y'all made all the the Palpatine sex jokes in the Star Wars review episode.
Oh god.
Like, that's when I almost put y'all on the ban because I was like, I refuse to have my name tied to this garbage. And that's almost how I feel.
Garbage is accurate. Garbage is accurate.
It's comedy.
Sure.
Okay, right. It's comedy, but also it's like
It's not a good comedy.
I could not justify it to anyone if they tried to ask make me questions about it. I couldn't.
Why were Caleb and Harry talking about like Palpatine's offspring in that review, and you're just like, I don't think I could justify it either. It was just like, because it's the question we're all asking. Except no one's asking the question.
You're muted, so what are you saying?
I just figured out I could do that. That's pretty cool, huh?
Wait, what are you doing?
I'm moving around.
Like with the chair or with your mouse?
I'm moving the computer around.
Oh. Okay. All right.
Pretty cool.
Woo! That's funny. Okay. That lightened my mood significantly. Okay. So, any other thoughts before we wrap this up? How likely would you guys recommend this movie?
I'd recommend it if somebody wanted to have a panic attack.
Yeah.
I'd recommend.
I have recommended this movie to somebody, so.
Cloris, you don't get to answer because you already recommended this movie to me.
Maybe if somebody was like, "You guys hear my dog trying to get in?"
Yes.
The doggy gate.
Yeah.
She's being loud. Sorry. If someone's like a similar like film masochist like I am, then
Film masochist.
then yeah, I'd recommend.
Let her in. Good job.
Barking might be my dog.
Oh, was that not that? Whose dog is barking?
I don't know.
Oh, well, okay. I think. I'm trying to think of what I recommend this film. Because, like, the part of me that, like, hates this movie is like, no, I wouldn't recommend this film. But I also know there are different strokes for different folks. So depending on who asks me, I might recommend this movie. Yeah. It's not it wouldn't be a high recommendation. It would be like if you want to end the movie confused and angry, watch this. So, yeah. But I think that's it for this episode.
I think so, yeah.
We're probably going to stick around a little bit after this, like we always do, to discuss what we're going to watch next, because now we're at an impasse. But, also, when I was thinking about who I wanted to be for this film, before I got too angry to actually remember it, like, I was thinking about being Idina Menzel in the Passover dress scene, because I love Idina Menzel, and she was wasted in this part. So yes, that's how I feel about that. But we're gonna say goodbye now. If everybody wants to say adios.
Adios. See you next week.
See ya.
Stop.